Hi, my name is Jeremy. This is Red Means Recording, and today we're going to be doing a review of the ASM Hydrasynth Explorer. Here it is. It's a little baby Hydrasynth. Isn't that neat? Baby. We're going to be moving over to the table as my videos usually do in a smidge, but I just kind of wanted to talk about the build and the stuff on it before we did that. If you're not familiar with what the Hydrasynth is, it is one of the most capable digital, virtual, analog wavetable synthesizers that exists on the market right now. I have been a big fan for a while. I have been doing videos on the Hydrasynth for a while. I have a lot of videos going really deep into the Hydrasynth, mostly the original keyboard version and the desktop version. Just for comparison's sake, real quick, I'll move over and show you what this looks like next to the desktop version so you can see what the size difference is. I know you're all very interested in size difference. So you can see it's like a little wider, but that's because it has a keyboard and not the pads. It still has poly aftertouch, which they call polytouch. It's great. I mean, there's not much to say about the Hydrasynth that I haven't already said. It's fantastic. So on the back here, and this is one of the things I like about the Hydrasynth Explorer versus the desktop, is on the desktop there's this like inset back here where like things like power and MIDI and even the power switch are like heavily inset. We don't have that here. It's all right on the back. So let's explore what we have on the back. Power. USB, which can do MIDI, and also it can do all the library and stuff. So like, you know, preset stuff, firmware updates, real MIDI DINs, a sustain pedal input, mono left, right, out, a full-size phone jack, which is really nice. And then we have CV. So on the other Hydrasynths, those are on the front, at least on the desktop version. These are all outputs, no input for this. So what this means though is that we can send a pitch and gate out to another Eurorack synthesizer if we want. The two mod outs can be used for all kinds of things. One of the things that sets the Hydrasynth apart in the world of the current available synthesizers is that the mod matrix is second to none. And that means like all the mod sources and destinations, meaning envelopes and LFOs, we get 5 of each, and they are very powerful. Those can be sent out to mod 1 and mod 2 in a variety of ways, in a variety of strengths, and you can turn that into CV to control things like anything. I mean, anything, honestly. Like I have a video where I went over using it to control a video synthesizer, and it was a lot of fun. There's going to be a large playlist in the video description that I urge you to check out if you want to get deeper into the Hydrasynth with me, because again, I have done so many videos on this thing that go really deep into how it works and some of the really interesting things you can do with it. So we have the two mod outs, and then we have a clock out, which means that we can send tempo pulses out of this to sync with other Eurorack devices. Does this angle work? I feel like I'm like showing off an 80s boombox. We have all the control sections that we expect from the other Hydrasynths. This little area has been redone, and it's actually pretty nice. This is where we'll see our macro controls, and all of the things that we are going to adjust here, the parameters will show up in here, which is really cool. Still have arpeggiation controls. Here's our filter. We can switch between the two filters, two extensive multi-mode filters, meaning that like there's a ton of filter modes in here. And yeah, it's just great. It's a little baby version of the Hydrasynth. Baby. Battery life. Let's talk about batteries. So when I first got this, I'm like, I'm gonna put batteries in it and see how that works out. It takes 8 AA batteries, which is kind of funny, honestly. Like, I don't know, I opened it up and I was like, wow, that's a lot of batteries. And I got about 2 hours of battery life with it. So, you know, not crazy amazing, but I mean, it runs on batteries. Like you can take it around your house with you and annoy your cats. The polytouch feature, which by the way, I love this logo. It kind of reminds me of something from like 80s, like industrial tech, like this would be something that you would have with like some kind of like shop equipment or something. In order to understand poly aftertouch, you probably would need to understand what aftertouch is, and that means when you hold down a key after it's pressed, there is actually pressure that can be assigned to do things. And aftertouch has been around for a really long time, but in this one and in other MPE-enabled devices, we have the ability to have aftertouch trigger on individual keys, meaning that any parameter in here that can be modulated via aftertouch, each individual key can send its own data about that. And it leads to some pretty amazing expressiveness, as we'll hear in some of the patches. We do also have like a little pitch and mod strip over here. They're fine. I didn't really have any issue in them working as you would expect these kind of things to. Yeah, you know, they're not physical wheels like you would get on a desktop synth, but they work just fine. We don't get a ribbon like we would get on the really big boy Hydrasynth that just came out alongside this one and the original keyboard version. The ribbon can be really, really fun, and I have a video showing off how to use that, but I don't miss it. It's a little gimmicky, you know, like you don't need a ribbon controller on your synth, but it's cool that the other ones have it. So with that said, I'm going to take this over to the table and we're going to listen to it a bit, and then yeah, you'll probably see my face again as I do the outro, because, you know, why not? Let's go to the table. Let's get on the table. All right, here we are at the table with the Hydrasynth Explorer. This is the first patch that pops up, this Saucepressive patch, and I think it shows off the polytouch really well. So while this isn't one of my favorite presets in the whole thing, I think it's a great one to start with. So let's play a little bit. Stupendous. So a lot of stuff going on here, but really we'll get into all that in the other presets. What you're hearing is the 3 oscillators working together. Actually, that's a 1 oscillator patch. I lied. You can hear reverb on there. We probably have some effects, some chorus, and maybe a little bit of rotary, which we could engage by playing with the macros up here. The macros are powerful ways that you can assign either easy access to things through this front panel here that you might want to change, or do a whole bunch of things at once within the synth, which is really cool. So let's go into my favorites by hitting Shift Browse and start listening to some stuff. This first one is called a moontender. Crazy pitch stuff that you're hearing is coming from our LFOs. And one of the coolest features that I love about this is that these step LFOs, this LFO type right here called step, can be locked to semitones. And that means that you can actually force a sequence of pitches to any of the 3 oscillators completely independent of each other, which means this can turn into a 3x motion sequenced little friend. And it's really, really cool. What's up next? Mutated GL ass. So the arpeggiator is currently in latch mode. Let's go ahead and explore it real quick and see what's going on. We're set to an 8th note, octave up 2. We're in phrase mode, and phrase mode is really, really interesting because there's all these built-in phrases in the arpeggiator. I can change this. Now you're going to hear when I change the phrase that we get like major or minor changes to the thing, and maybe you don't want that. There's a really cool thing you can do in here where you go into the voice mode and go all the way down, and we can key lock all of our notes, including the phrase notes, to a scale. So if I was to change this to like pentatonic major and snap, you can hear that that phrase automatically changes to pentatonic major. It also means that I cannot play a wrong note outside of the outside of that scale on the keyboard, which is really cool. So one of the things that this synth excels at, because of the fact that it is this hybrid wavetable slash virtual analog with these mutant things, which can do FM. You can see in this particular patch, we're using the FM mode for the mutant. Mutants are really, really powerful, and they come in a lot of different flavors in here, but basically they're another way to shape the wave from the oscillator. So we're using sine waves, triangle waves, and we have two oscillators in. Both of them are sine and triangle. So very mellow sources, and then we're using FM to give us what's going to sound like a Rhodes. So this synth can actually do really nice electric piano sounds, and also can do really nice organ sounds, which is part of the reason that this FM mutant stuff is so cool. Obviously, we can hear a lot of effects going on in this one. We start off with an EQ. It runs into the delay, into the reverb, and then into a post effects, which in this case is a phaser. So you can follow the little line here and see how the effect blocks work. You can also hear we have some noise going on. That is in the mixer section, and you can see that the noise is turned up a little bit. So that's what's giving us that wash on top. So physical modeling is also something the synth is somewhat capable of, again, mostly because of these mutants running in FM mode. So let's take a listen to this. The other thing you're hearing is the ratchet mode for the arpeggiator. So if we go into here and we go down, we will see that ratchet is set to 48, and there's a 84% chance of ratcheting. And that's what those little like da-da-da-da-da things are coming off that. The higher we turn up ratchet, the more chance we have for those little rolls, right? Which is really cool. Something cool about this one. Ah, the wave select. That's right. Let me turn up the release. Okay, so oscillator 1 is set to wavetable mode. There's two different ways wavetables work in here. One of them is in single mode, which is what's happening right now, and the other way is in wave scan mode, which is how we normally think of wavetable synthesis, where we have like a series of waves that we scan through and we get those kind of cool, complex harmonic movements. But this one is set into single mode with flux selected for each one, and all three are up. So if we do this and change the wave select, we're going to hear a pretty big change here. So you can get a sense of what different wavetables would sound like on here. So that's one of the ways that we can use macros. We can have them reach in and change all of the wavetables that these oscillators are thinking about, as long as we're in single mode. I don't think it works on the scan mode. So it's pretty cool. We'll hear later that this thing can get pretty cinematic. That's cool. The delay mode reverse and the reverb mode cloud really work well together to give you an almost cloud-esque kind of feel, meaning that Mutable Instruments clouds. They work really nicely together. The cool thing about what they did with this sound here is they literally modeled the macro controls after the Juno. Over on the second page of macro controls here, we have our square wave, our saw wave, and our sub that we can turn up and down, and our noise as well. Which I think is pretty nifty. We've talked a lot about how the mutants do FM, but they can also do sync. And so we can get these really cool classic sync leads like we would from just turning on the mutant and then modulating it. We have a lot of different filter types, like a lot. I don't know if 3 is ladder. Do we have a ladder filter? No, that's ladder. I wonder what LER means. I probably should know that. Anyways. You can hear that nice juiciness of the filter, right? Sounds like DuckTales. So here is a really pure example of the wavescan function. Oscillator 1 and 2 are both in wavescan mode. So we can hear and see that wavetable pattern booming through. And then our mutants are set to this pulse width modulation ASM mode, which is a special pulse width modulation mode that they have created for the Hydrasynth. Let's listen to what that sounds like when we turn it up. Pretty cool, right? Before? After. You can actually have, in these FM modes, you can have the source for the frequency modulation come from the other oscillator. So you can cross-mod these oscillators, which is really cool. This one is just a simple, big analog string sound. Remember how we talked about we could do fun things with our steps earlier, our step LFO? Well, that's what we got going on here, and we're getting little sequences out of our LFOs. I'll show you random real quick. If I go into here and I go to step edit, I can hit random and I can randomize all of these. That's pretty dope. So, again, using the step LFO to create sequences for our three oscillators. This one right here, I believe that's doing our bass line, which is pretty cool. So you can create long sequences with these pitches. Okay, well, that is my review of the Hydrasynth Explorer. I know that a lot of people are always asking what synth they should get as their first synth, and I think you would be hard-pressed to find a better choice than this. Honestly, with all of the features this packs in, and the mod matrix, and the effects, and the poly aftertouch, and the portability, I mean, you know, if this is going to be a review, I'm going to give it 2 thumbs up. I got no problems with this synthesizer. It's fine. It's good. It's probably priced well. I don't know. It should be. ASM has been knocking out of the park with their price points. That's my review. 2 thumbs up. Kissy kiss face. Thank you for watching. Doesn't really taste like anything, so you don't need to do that test. Anyways, thanks for watching. My name is Jeremy. This is Red Means Recording, and I hope you have a wonderful day.